Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, my friends? How we doing today? What's up? What's the deal? How we doing today? A Monday, 6 days from the Premier League kickoff, and yeah, we're ready to talk. Ready to talk about some things, stuff, stuff, and some things. Um, got some stuff to talk about. Got some stuff to talk about, no doubt. Got some stuff to talk about. We're going to start today's video off in a minute here. And we're going to definitely start it off with talking about Garnacho because I'm coming to collect some scalps on Alejandro Garnacho. Okay? I'm coming to collect. I'm coming to collect from all the people who told me that I was biased, from all the people who told me I was just a hater, from all the people who told me I had some personal vendetta against Alejandro Garnacho. You're seeing the real Garnacho now, so we're going to talk about that. You are seeing who Garnacho is that I've been telling you all along. That I am telling you all along about this guy, this kid, and what he is and who he is. Because the gloves have come off on that front. The gloves have come off on that front. You're seeing the real person behind the fake facade and all of that. You're seeing it. So we'll talk about that in a second here. He's far worse than Jadon Sancho, Hamza. Yes. Far worse. Far worse. Way worse. So yeah, we're gonna talk about that. I'll tell you what Jadon Sancho never did. You wanna know what Jadon Sancho never did? Jadon Sancho never leaked. Jadon Sancho never went on social media against his teammates. I'll tell you that much. Okay. Jadon Sancho never did that. That's different. There's a difference. There's a difference. But yeah, we're gonna talk about that. So we'll talk about the Garnacho situation. We will talk about the goalkeeper situation as well. As I pretty much at the moment stand by what I said in my information on the goalkeeper. I'm still gonna stick with that, but we'll talk about that whole situation in a second. And then we'll talk about Carlos Baleba and all of that too, as I think there's a good chance here that in the coming days we see that first kind of offer from United for him. Um, I have there's a good chance of that now. So we'll get to all of that. A few things to talk about there. So before we get started, Hamza, that's a tweet. That's a tweet, by the way. That tweet. Somebody made a tweet. Garnacho a while back. Garnacho responded to the way I wanted Garnacho or Rashford to, and it was just a very very top red take that is to me has always been a bit thinly veiled as to why there's a difference in how he's been treated versus Rashford. Ronaldo Brown from Paddock the other day, not the other day, like an hour ago, he said something, he posted something and it bothers me, man. It bothers me this. He showed not what he posted, but the context of it. Of Garnacho at the end of the season getting sung to and clapped out of the stadium. Um, and he says, by the way, this was after his 5th disciplinary since being promoted, a season of his brother leaking team news, liking posts that insult his teammates, and throwing his gaffer under the bus post EL final and oppressor. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But anyway, look, I don't want to get into a big thing against the whole the whole fan base or things like that, but it is sometimes really bothersome how certain players get treated so differently by the fan bases. It's funny. I was listening to Harry Maguire's interview. With Rio, which was absolutely top, by the way. If you want to know some serious truths, go listen to Harry Maguire talk because he knows how to talk. Okay, he said some real things. And one of the things that was a shame, he talked about Pogba. And he talked about how hard it was for Pogba. As Maguire being somebody who's gotten a lot of criticism, he talked about how impossible it was for Pogba at United, how he had to be so perfect. You know what I mean? That he had to be so perfect. He had to do everything at United to be good enough. Did Pogba. And you know, and and so I was it was really interesting his speaking about that. And it's very strange. It's very, very strange how these things happen, and why certain, why it's so much worse for certain players than for others. You know what I mean? And I think I think it's a shame, and I hope that it's something that changes, because it's we got it is a common occurrence, and it's something that I've called out a lot, and that I will continue to. But anyway, that's fine. Let's get this poll up, and then we'll get into it. And then we'll get into the details, and we will start with expectation of Pogba will be the same as the expectation of Baleba. Maybe, maybe. I believe Carrington was paid by this credit facility. All right, what's the no option for today's fun poll? The thing with Pogba was, like, there was a point where, oh my god, people are you if you oh my god, that one was almost too bait. Too many people are I missed a word too. Too many people are gonna vote no because that one's almost too bait. Um, options diabolical. I know, it's a shame. Anybody clicking that? Shame on you. Shame on your houses. Shame on your that. Okay, guys, and by the way, before we get going here, just wanted to mention, I've bought. Were any of you guys in when I did the interview with with the last time I brought all the guests on, and we had Narth on there, and he had the absolute best microphone in history, and the best sound in history, right? Um, well, I spoke to him afterwards, and he inspired me, so I spent too much money here on a new setup for home, which will be here today and tomorrow. To get a much better microphone for at home, and a better camera too for at home, because this is a fi fine, fee fine, faux fine, fee fi faux fum fine microphone that I bought at home, because I didn't think that I was going to be doing so much from here. But circumstances have changed. I've been doing a lot more videos from home, a lot more videos from this office. I want to build it up a bit more, work on the lighting and things like that over the course of this season. I do all my watch alongs from here. I do a whole bunch of other stuff from here, and so I wanted to upgrade. So I'm getting some much better stuff. I got a Rode Procaster mic for one, which everybody knows is a very good one. I bought the Rode Procaster, but I've also bought a much better as well, like I don't know the words for this stuff, because I'm not even slightly an audiophile. Like, I don't know anything. But there's like an amp, and that boosts it, and then there's also a thing it plugs into, like a thing, it plugs into, the XLR plugs into, and then it does stuff, and then it goes into the computer, and that's as technical as I can get on this. So all of that stuff, and then I got a good and then I got a good interface or whatever, but and then I got a good new webcam. I didn't buy like a professional camera. I'm not ready to spend $800 to $1,000 on a camera, because I'm just sitting here at my desk. It's just me. I can fix the lighting and things like that, but I got a better webcam, which is like a it's called like an OBS bot meet something or other. Anyway, it's supposed to be a lot better than the one I have, because the Logitech, which I'm still using, they've really not been great. I feel I've heard and read and seen myself that it's kind of dipped in quality, and I can't get that nice like I can't get that nice um anyway, I can't get that nice 4K quality stuff. And I mean, it all gets compressed by YouTube and things to a degree, but I know we can do better. I've been unhappy with looking at some of the videos and some of the quality of my picture in them. I've not been super happy about it. I feel like it's just not great. Um, Even on recording, even when you're not like streaming, even just on recording stuff, it doesn't look that good. And it always gets my skin tone all wrong too. I can't tell, it flips back and forth and things like too. So yeah, so stuff like that. So anyway, just wanted to make mention because I want to improve the quality of my setup, because I've been doing this a lot more, you know, and all of that. I totally am a boomer. I've not done any of this kind of like tech stuff for a while. Won't fix the wrinkles. My skin's pretty good for my age, to be fair, but yeah, I've got a few I've got a few lines. But yeah, I got to improve on a few things, get some different lighting and stuff like that. I'm not gonna green screen it. I like having a natural background, but what I want to do is turn off the overhead lights because they're just fluorescents. It's just and recession lights in my office here. Um, Block up the light coming in from outside and get some different lights all over and all around, and all of that. So that'll help. So just to improve on that. But yeah, no, I'm 33 years old. I'm 33 years old. Look pretty good for my age. Um. So yeah. Um. Cool. Let's get into it. Yes. I know Sheshko 30. Yes, we do. Let's talk about Alejandro Garnacho. So
For the new setup, great job James, top content, fuck off Ghana.
thank you, Iraqi. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Appreciate the donation to the fund. Thank you. That's a big one, man. What the hell? That's a lot of money you just sent me. That's like $28, man. You don't have to do that. But thank you. I appreciate you very much. That's a lot of money. Wow, thank you. Anyway, Garnacho, what's the situation here is that obviously all summer he's been putting off a move, pushing against move, turning down moves. We've had offers from Bayer Leverkusen, not Bayern. We've had offers from Leverkusen. Um, we've had offers from other clubs in Italy. We've had offers from other clubs elsewhere. There's been like so many offers around coming in, and Garnacho, in that respect, has been turning them all down, forcing this kind of Chelsea thing to come in. It's even part of the reason why we couldn't necessarily work through a link for Napoli. Yeah, well, we couldn't work through a deal potentially. I'm not going against the signing of Sheshko, but I'm just saying it did complicate if we wanted to make a move for Watkins. One of the things we had looked at originally was seeing if there was a way to include Garnacho, but he was not so keen on that, and he was kind of shutting everything down while Chelsea were still there. So, even if we had wanted to do that deal, it would have hurt us there. He's just been pushing everything away to Chelsea, and now you take the words, and there's two problems with what's being said today. There's two problems with what we're seeing in this kind of thing from pull it up on the screen, which is Chelsea or I stay here and don't play football for 6 to 12 months. Well, there's two problems. Number one is the words itself. Number two is just how blatantly obvious he's been briefing a journalist on his thing. And I'm not blaming Fabrizio. Fabrizio's doing his job. Fabrizio's contacting agents, contacting people, doing this and that, and putting out information. If I had somebody giving me that information, I'd be putting it out too. Okay? But the problem lies with the person giving that information and briefing all summer to one journalist to try to force through a move. Then you add to that your boy getting caught with a giant vape while getting more tattoos, not for the first time, mind you, and that's just another red flag on him. And the fact is, when you come down to all of this, Garnacho is a selfish child, and he has been his entire time at United. He is very fake. I don't like him. I've made that pretty clear because I've seen a lot of the things, and to me, when you hear things behind the scenes and when you see things up front, it's really easy to tell. It's really easy to tell who's real and who's fake. Okay, and the thing I like least of anything, there are players who can be a pain in the ass. Anthony, he's been a bit of a pain in the ass. Sancho, he's been a pain in the ass. There's plenty of players who've been a pain in the ass, but you know what? I will say for all of them, they're not fake. It's like the worst thing you can be is just to be fake, is to just be a bullshitter, to put on a facade of something while you intend something entirely different. Jadon Sancho has been honest and made his intentions clear, whether I like them or not. Okay. Anthony as well has made his intentions clear, whether I like them or not. Nobody sat at this club and pretended to everything's okay. They love the club. They love Amorim. They love this and that while doing the things he's been doing behind the scenes constantly. Nobody has been looking at people's faces and saying, oh, I'm all good. I'm all happy. Everything's great, and I'm working so hard. I care about the club. I want to do this and that. And then meantime, they're constantly searching out moves, constantly briefing media, constantly leaking, constantly doing shady shit on social media and having disciplinary issues. And then the moment things go wrong after they have acted nice for months, the moment something doesn't go their way because they don't start in a game, they go public on their problems. And then they spend all summer being a dickhead about their situation, And that is fake, man. That is fake. That's just fake crap. And it's like, it's just fake. He's never been committed to United. I've told you guys, and people give me a hard time about this, but I've told you for 2 years, Garnacho's been looking for a move away. The minute he was not starting at Manchester United, he's been looking for a move away. That's been going on all along. I don't even know, that's just what's been happening. He's never wanted to be at United. While people are singing his songs and doing this and that, he's been ready to leave the minute anything wasn't going to go 100% his way at all times. And that's what I think is unacceptable. That's what I think is not okay. That to me is the biggest, is just rotten. It's just rotten. You know what I mean? It's just not right. And it's like, the crazy part about it is that Ten Hag gave him an enormous amount of faith, and he repaid him by being nasty to him behind his back. And that's how you know the measure of a person. Because I can sit there and blame Ten Hag for things, and so can all of us, and say, well, Ten Hag, built up his ego. Ten Hag, put him on a pedestal. Ten Hag played him so many games and made him feel like he was undroppable. And you know how Garnacho repaid him? By going on social media and fucking saying shit about him and liking tweets against him. That's how he repaid the manager who probably did way too much for him and gave him way too many chances and put him on a pedestal and moved Rashford out of his position for him. That's how he repaid him. And that's what you have to make of a person when they do that. That's why I don't blame Ten Hag for Garnacho turning out, to have a bad attitude and things like that. That's why I don't even blame Ten Hag for that. People have said, I blame Ten Hag for a lot, mind you. But when people say, well, yeah, but we did this, that's fine. But look at how he responded to that. Look at how he responded to that. Look at how he responded to the fans singing his name. By trying to leave every second that he could. By not working for the team. That's what I don't like. That I really, really don't like. That's what bothers me. So, he's done it to everybody who's shown faith in him. He's shown nothing back in return for that faith. You know what I mean? Nothing back in return for that. He's given nothing to help, to repay the fans and the managers who have supported him too much and backed him too much. The fans backed him. You gave him too much credit. Fans gave him too much credit. Local people at the games gave him too much credit. But you know what? That's fine. It's okay. You want to over support the players? Do it. I would prefer over supporting to under supporting, but just be consistent with giving it to other people too. Give them the same benefit of the doubt, right? Do that. Give them the same support. Give everybody the same support if you're going to do it for some. But even then, how did he repay them? By being dickheads. By being a dickhead. By having no commitment to the club. So, it's always been like this, and there's been plenty of things that have gone on behind the scenes, that have made this an entirely predictable outcome for all of this. Now, I was of the opinion not long ago, as I said, that I would just sell him for cheap. Okay, I would just sell him for cheap because I just want us to get the money. I've changed my mind. I've changed my mind after today's briefing. I don't want to sell him. Make him rot. Make him rot. If that's how he actually feels and he wants to brief things out that way and leak things out that way, don't care. Don't care. Let him sit in the reserves. I would rather it. I would rather send a message out now. I would much rather send a message. Now I'm going to be petty. Send a message. Stick him with the reserves and leave it at that. Can you disclose what happened between Rashi and him? Not exactly, but like I said, it would be surprising to me if they got along because as far as I've heard, let's just put it this way. One of the problems that Rashford had at United was it was felt as though there were things leaking out about him, that like targeted leaks and things like that were out there far too often, things that were coming from the inside that shouldn't have. You don't have to look very far to figure out some of the people who are doing that. Okay. I don't know who's aware of it, but you don't have to look very far to see some of the people who are doing it. So yeah, enjoy the World Cup. Enjoy watching it on TV. You want to act that way. That's what I would do. Enjoy, because you're not getting the call up like that. Good luck. Good luck in 4 years. Good luck. So that's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about it. Anyway, we'll kind of leave it at that. How does this compare to Grealish going on loan to Everton? I don't know. I don't know whether that's even relevant. Rashi aside, how's he's rated by the rest of the dressing room? I don't think they're upset. I don't think there's anybody upset about that, to be honest. I don't think people are upset about it. It was yeah, SMC, yeah. You've spotted a little bit of a pattern there. Yeah. But why Chelsea? Don't know. Probably the glory of London, London has its draws. London has its draws. London has its attractions. London has its things. On other outs, I saw that Fabrizio said 50% Antony. Now he's just saying if you actually translate the whole thing, what he said there was that maybe he rated at 50% possibility, but it would mean United are going to have to accept the deal that Betis has on the table because they can't afford more. Will we? As we get to the end of the window, I would say probably. I would be a little bit surprised if we won't accept that kind of deal. 7-8 year thing. I would be kind of surprised if we don't accept the deal that's on the table. From Betis about that. If push comes to shove and there's nobody else, you know what I mean? Like nothing else comes in. Because I don't think we want to reintegrate any of these players. And and so that's kind of that. I think we would accept it. It even says he would consider staying a year at United. Maybe they would reintegrate Antony. I've actually no idea on that. I'd be surprised if they did, but he wants to play at the very least. You know what I mean? He wants to play at the very least. Goes for Antony. So maybe we'll accept it as we get to the end of the window because there's not a lot of options. So I guess we'll see what happens after that. I don't have any news on the other guys. the Jadon Sancho one links me to kind of the goalkeeper situation because I've been making the comparison between the two. Jadon Sancho's got a year left on his contract. We're likely going to be forced into a situation where we have to loan him out or something like that right at the end of the year, cover some of his wages, and that way he gets negotiations on as a free agent with whatever club that he wants, which is probably what he's trying to do. That's probably what he's trying to do, to wait out the rest of his contract and all of that. That is likely what he's trying to do. So fair enough. I mean, he's only got a year left on his deal. It's not that unusual for players with a year left trying to wait out their contracts. Now, he'd been looked at by Turkey before, but he turned those moves down to focus and prioritize Italy. He's still at the moment prioritizing some sort of move to Italy, but it doesn't feel like there's anything even slightly close on that front. When we get to the end of this window, though, I think the likelihood is we're going to have to send him out on loan. We're going to have to send him out on loan for a small amount of money and a decent amount of wage coverage, and that's what we'll get. And then we'll forget all about Sancho. His contract will expire, and all of that. If Sancho, yeah, I saw that from Fabrizio as well. He was turning down Turkey earlier, but going back to Turkey because they can pay his wages for a year on a loan is probably most likely. Now, let's move on to the keeper front here. Let's move on to talking about the keeper a little bit. Because obviously you've got all this news coming around now that Donnarumma has been left out of the squad. Donnarumma is in the bomb squad, right? That's what's happened here today. Donnarumma has been added to the bomb squad for PSG. So that, of course, makes him a little bit more. This obviously brings everything to our attention now that Donnarumma is in that situation. He's in the bomb squad. He's he's probably gonna leave. He's probably gonna leave. So what does that mean? Well, I kind of look at it in the same situation because my information remains this as of right now. We have had contact with Donnarumma and his people. We absolutely have. That's not the first time I've said that. We have. We've been in touch with his people. I think it was a week ago I said we've been in touch with his people to keep abreast of the situation, informed on the situation. But the problem is this, and the word is still this from United's perspective. They would most likely need to move somebody on from the keeper unit in order to bring someone in. That continues to be the going message on, that continues to be the going message on Donnarumma with regards to United, because he's on very high wages, and in his case it's more like Onana, because he's on high wages. It'd be an expensive deal on the whole, and they really don't necessarily want to have an enormous amount of money being spent on these keepers. Now, they did make a loan offer for Emi Martinez. So the question becomes here, while the message out of United is we still need sales at a keeper exit in order to bring in another keeper, could we do like we're going to get done to us on Jadon Sancho, and I've been mentioning this for a few weeks now, look at him on loan and pay some of his wages late on? What if nobody buys him? And I think the names being linked are us, Chelsea, and City or something like that. If nobody buys him, similar to what we're dealing with Sancho, and we don't want to commit an enormous amount of money to a keeper on a 5-year while we still have Onana here, then could we make a move late in the window to get him on a cheap loan deal with some wages covered? I think that'll be, to a degree, the strategy based on, what we've seen so far out of the club. I think that would be the strategy. if we move on Bayindir, then I think we'd rather go for a young keeper for what it's worth in Lamens. But again, I don't think a decision has been made on who we will target on this. So yeah, that's not really a thing. From my information, a decision has not been made on which keeper we would go for. A decision has not been made for sure to sign a keeper as of yet, and the message continues to be that you likely need an exit in that area to do it. But we have made contact with Donnarumma. We have been keeping up on this keeper situation, and so perhaps it's simply a matter of being prepared. Perhaps it's simply a matter of maybe we could get it done in a way that's an opportunity deal like that. End of the summer, get a really cheap, affordable, low-risk deal in there as an opportunity. Maybe that's it. Or maybe we won't get one at all. Or maybe they'll just fucking do it anyway, which feels a little bit like the narrative this summer for this club. I don't think we went into this summer with that in mind, for what it's worth. I don't think we went into this summer with that in mind. I do think we went into the summer with a very basic plan to do a few things. But something has changed. Something has changed in the middle of the summer. I don't know when, I don't know how exactly, but it feels like it's around the I feel like it's around the time of that whole meeting in Iceland, and I feel as though something's happened and changed in the perspective for the club from Sir Jim or something like that, where it seems like we're just ready to do things we weren't prepared to do before. You know, that we're ready to make moves we weren't prepared to do before. You know, in athletic, they basically said now or never. You know what I mean? And you start to get that idea that like we're kind of looking at that and saying, maybe it is now or never. And you know, and look, to be clear, the whole idea here with Baleba, which we'll get to in a second, which I said from the beginning, from day one, was it might be the best time to get him because they're expecting a ton of competition in the future. It might be now, or you're just going to pay more later, so why not do it today? Right? And then figure the money out later where maybe next summer you don't have to spend that much. That might be the case. So it feels like that's a little bit of the thinking. So I'm reticent to rule out the goalkeeper move here, even without a sale, simply because of that, because of the way that we've been operating and the new mindset of let's just go for it. If they feel that Donnarumma is a move that we could make that we couldn't get later, that is maybe the best chance to get a keeper they really, really like, and you can get them on the cheap, then maybe they'll do it anyway. You know? Maybe they'll do it anyway. So that's why I don't want to rule it out. There's info, and there's also the matter of being quite honest. Anyone's info can only go so far right now. You know, I was listening to Talk of the Devil, and Andy Mitten said the same thing, who's, again, of course, as everybody knows, one of the most well-connected and informed journalists around. He said himself, I said, not him, I'm quoting him here. He said, I said this as well some weeks ago, that they'd have to sell to buy, because that's what I was told at that time as well. And then they didn't, you know? So it's like info and what you're being told can only take you so far. United are maybe doing more than that intention. Now, I do want to give myself a little credit on one thing. At the end of the season, I told you all that Amorim blew up. And he said, I want more. I want us to be much more ambitious than we were planning. I want to go for serious players. I want to do big things. I want us to get players who can make an impact. I want more than the original plan that we had. If you recall, by the way, when I spoke about that he had a huge issue, and this was before the final, and he said, and he was insistent on United being more ambitious than they were originally planning. Because at that time, if you remember, I was looking at like Dibbling and shit like that, Delap, Dibbling, Cunha, like that was our summer, and he was pushing the club to be very much more ambitious. But I think that wasn't like an art. Like I think when people take those things, they go, oh my god, like well they were gonna do a shitty plan and he had to blow. No, they work together as a team. And I think that Ruben Amorim's assessment is a big part of what we're doing. We need to be brave. Yeah, I think Ruben Amorim's assessment is a big part of why we've moved in the way that we've moved this summer. Because his assessment has been one that I think he actually believes we could be very good quicker than expected. Very good quicker than expected, you know? I think that. And I also think that he believed we
Imagine next summer
needed
we go
to
big
get
on
really good
Warzone
players in
2.
those positions. Yeah, Chris, we talk about that in a minute too. Like that we not only that it's kind of a weird thing. I think his point was, look, we're missing some big players. We're missing in some big positions. We have really bad players in a few positions, right? And so it was like it's kind of twofold. It's hard to describe this. One, that we can be very good very quick if we get the best players possible in certain positions. Because I think he felt he has good players and top players and players who can do the job and can be really good. But it's like you've got players who could be nines and in other positions players who can be ones. And we need to fix that, So it's like essentially that's how he feels, like how about Lenny, about Ahmad, about Bruno, about some of these players that they were really damn good. Like they can be title winning players, but we need to match that in other positions, So it's like there were major holes in the team, you know? Um, so it's kind of like those missing positions were dragging us down. So we don't have to do this slow. If we get the best players in these positions, we can do it fast and it can be a rocket ride. So that's I think how he felt. So it's sort of like we need to be ambitious, but also like if we do, we can be successful a lot quicker than you think. So that's good. Yeah, I know. If we buy the best team in the league, we'll be the best team in the league. It's crazy. It's almost like the team with the best players usually wins games. Um, so yeah, that's definitely part of it. So it makes it hard to rule out things like Donnarumma this summer because it's some sort of like, why not us? Why not now? Why not today? Why can't we pull it off? You know what I mean? Why can't we pull it off? Why can't we just build a top team? Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like the other thing I do want to say is that a lot of clubs have taken the position, a lot of the big clubs have taken the position this year that it might not be better next season to buy players. It might not be better next season to buy players, and that it might be best going all in now. The other thing I want to add, and I'm on Wednesday I'll do a live on my predictions here, is that I think that there's a serious opportunity right now because I believe that a lot of clubs have had bad windows. When I look at like overall, have they got stronger or weaker? A lot of the outside of Liverpool, Arsenal, City, and Chelsea, has anyone had a good window this summer? The rest of the clubs, you know what I mean? Like when you look at the rest of the clubs, Newcastle's had a shit window. I think they're going to have an unhappy camp that's certainly not gone better. Aston Villa have done nothing, of note in this window. I don't know about Forest. They've lost a few good players. They've gained a few good players. No, I say outside of City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Chelsea. Um, Brighton have not had a crazy window. Bournemouth have lost some really important players. Brentford have gotten ripped apart, and maybe they'll keep Wissa, maybe not. I don't know much of note from Fulham. Palace have bought nobody. Everton have not done much. They've done a couple little things. West Ham have been pretty poor. I don't think they've done much to improve in this window. They're looking at some good players now, but they haven't done much yet. Wolves have lost some important players. Um, Tottenham have done okay. Tottenham have done for me a lot of Tottenham moves. Like I think they've done a lot of Tottenham signings. Like they don't buy top of the line players. They buy like just a tier below that, which is solid. I think they'll be a lot better. But I look at it and I think most of these clubs have actually gotten worse. The mid-table has been the mid-table got absolutely raided this year, right? They've gotten ripped apart to a large degree. They've gotten ripped apart. And then you look at Liverpool, and I think that they've made potentially good signings, potentially bad signings. It's unknown, at this point in time as to how that's going to play out. Chelsea, I think, have had a good window, but there also have so much change. They're riding the momentum of the end of last season in the Club World Cup. We'll see. There's a lot of change. Liverpool, City, and Chelsea are going through a lot of change as well. So I'm not convinced on a lot of these clubs' windows. So it's kind of an opportunity for us to jump well above all of these and reestablish ourselves in that top of the line team. The top 5, especially with one game a week. So, I think that presents itself with somewhat of an opportunity as well. In addition, obviously, then let's kind of talk about. Man, that third kit is so nice. Third kit. But no, look, I gotta say, in addition, that I want to talk about Baleba, of course. I want to talk about Baleba here and as it were, because you're getting reports, you're getting this, that, and the other, and different things, and all of that happening. The way that essentially I've heard it from the start has been, of course, the line is United need to raise a bit more funds. We've spoken about Garnacho, we've spoken about Sancho, we've spoken about Anthony, and all. Rasmus Højlund. United are certainly still pushing for him to leave. United are still certainly, there's been discussions between Milan and some other clubs with his representatives. There's a lot of push to get him to open the door on leaving. It's been very difficult. There may have been some progress today on that front, but we'll see. It's hard to confirm things like this because they all come from one side rather than the other side. I don't talk to Rasmus Højlund, in case you didn't know. I'm not the person to ask. There may have been some progress on that front, though, from at least one side's perspective at moving him out this summer. The funds that we need, a big part of it is more about like flexibility, but it's a little bit like complicated, because we do have the money. You know what I mean? We do have this credit line. We do have this ability to just draw more money down and do it. And to a degree, that puts us in the driver's seat on these sales where we can say, we don't actually have to accept a cut rate deal, a cut rate deal to make purchases. Like Brighton aren't going to give us a discount just because we're sell to buy. That's not going to help our negotiations. Brighton are going to have a price. So we may have this like ability here to look and say, we can hold out on these sales, but we do have money. We do have, like, we can, Man, it's complicated. It's so complicated to explain this because there's a balance between like what they'll want to do and also the factor of like what they might be willing to do anyway, just to get it done. And part of the thinking here is like, we probably could do it and balance it a little bit later. We do need to balance the books to a degree. Look, if we go and we buy Baleba now without sales, if we miss out on Europe, we're potentially in big trouble. Unless there's further owner investment over the course of the next 12 months, which it does feel like there's something going on there, by the way, because I've never seen a minority owner with so much financial control. But anyway, it's complicated, man. It's just complicated. Regardless of that, kind of the idea here was like, we want to get a steal on this. Now, from the perspective that I have, and from the information that I have, we've moved through this whole sequence of steps. We've moved through this whole sequence of ways that we've approached things. And we are going to make an attempt for Baleba. Like I said the other day, and like I said last night, that I believe this attempt for Baleba is coming. Okay? I believe this attempt for Baleba is coming. And it's going to be, I have a feeling it's going to be one of those things like, when is a bid a bid? When is an offer an offer? So like I wrote, Baleba offer coming. Well, when we're about to approach a club to find out if we can negotiate, what does that actually mean? Like, there's a lot of journalistic terms and there's a lot of things that people will say to kind of like, there's a video about from Laurie kind of commenting on like journalist terms and joking like, what do these terms actually mean and stuff like that. And when you say like, oh, club's gonna like make kind of an approach to understand the situation, what does that really mean? The truth of the matter is United are probably calling up what they're going to do here, I'm just telling you, is they're going to call up Brighton with an offer. And depending on the response to that offer and how it goes will depend on how it's reported. That's just what's going to happen, okay? They're going to be calling up Brighton here with an offer in the coming days and saying, through intermediaries, through the agent, doesn't matter. Whatever way it's communicated, there's going to be some kind of communication where United are going to say, hey, if we were to offer 90 million plus 5 or 85 plus 10, would we be able to get Baleba? Would he is that enough? And a few things could happen here. Either Brighton can just ignore it, in which case United will go back to the drawing board and go, can we afford to try another one? Or do we brief United have walked away from the deal and are looking at alternative targets because they believe the cost of the deal would be too high and we never hear anything about an offer ever again. Right? That's what can happen. Or Brighton say, not enough, but if you get over 100, we'd be willing to talk about it. And then United will say, United open with 85 plus 10 million bid to Brighton.
Wasn't it said that the credit line counts as owner investment and needs the Glazers okay? So using that could be an indication of something?
Sure, they do have to improve. They do have to approve any use of the credit line as the majority owners for sure. So, it's technically debt that is 70% theirs when they add more debt. And in that case you get, United have made an approach, 85 plus 10 million bid, rejected but talks ongoing. That's how that gets reported. So United will make some sort of offer here in the coming days. I believe that they know it's going to be 100 million. Over 100 million is sort of the price mark that they've been getting feedback on. So I'd be surprised if they I wouldn't say I'd be surprised if they offer under that, because they might. But I'd be surprised if we weren't prepared to go to that number. Now, that doesn't mean we'll necessarily offer that right away, but I think that they'll know it's going to cost somewhere in that in terms of valuation, of over 100 million. So yeah, what's coming? I don't know. That's asking me to predict the future, CJ. Unfortunately, because it's like I don't know. I'm not the guy who, like, I know it's going to be tomorrow. I just know they're going to do it. They're going to make some sort of proposal in here, through this. I'm certain of that. The question is as well, and where this is going to be very important, is of course again also the payment terms and installments and things like that. If we can make an offer of, say, 100 million, but it's over 5 years, gives us a lot better chance to make that kind of offer or not. That can be a big part of it. Yeah, I'm using pounds here now. So that can be a big part of it. So there's some unknowns in this too. I don't think they can wait too long, because Brighton are not wanting to sell. I don't think we can wait till the last week of the window. And again, the word on the vine is we need to move some of these players on to get more money, to have more flexibility. So we're probably slightly minimized in how flexible we can be over what kind of offer we can make without raising more money. So if we can raise more money, it gives us more flexibility, which may allow us to make a better bid or things like that as well. So we'll see, but there's been I'm encouraged. My repayment for defending my favorite player through everything is a block on WhatsApp from him and playing for the smallest club in London. Well, that's what you get for running PR for players from Direct. Things have been leaked out and all sorts of shit. Anyway, just goes to tell you that's how you treat your friends. Imagine that. I feel for that, but just reading a tweet from somebody who everybody kind of knew was connected to a certain player we discussed at the start of this. Yeah, that's the repayment you get. That's how certain people treat their friends and the people who've supported them. I find that kind of funny. Kind of shows exactly what I was just talking about at the beginning of this. Anyway, so let's see on this, but I'm quite encouraged on a lot of this stuff. I think for sure the midfield is a bigger priority than a goalkeeper at this point in time. Just that I'm pretty sure of. Obviously, in an ideal world, we could take care of both this summer, but certainly I would say a midfielder is a more of a priority at this point in time for sure. And this Baleba thing is certainly priority number one. I honestly I've not gone back about feeling like we get the deal done. You know, I've not gone back about feeling like we're gonna get it. So yeah. Anyway, that's where we are. And on we go. So yeah, what do you guys think? I mean, where are you at on this? Let's do a poll here. Let's do a poll here on Baleba. I'll leave the predictions on where we finish till Wednesday or Thursday. I want to do mine, and I want you guys to do. I'm curious of what people's opinions are on this. Yeah, I'm still a 6 out of 10. I'm still a 6 out of 10. I'm curious what people think on this. Hey, whatever it takes. That's kind of how I feel. Yeah. Oh, Chelsea step up talks for Alejandro Garnacho. Let's see it then. Is this actually a new report, by the way? I just see a Fabrizio tweet has come in. Pull this up here. Let's see if this is this actually news? It's not linked to a video. Is this new news? Is this new news? All right, let's see. So 72% say we should pay whatever. I would tend to agree. This sale could help us a lot. But how much are they going to give us? That's the question. Let's pull this tweet up here. Chelsea step-up talks for Garnacho. Club-to-club discussions with Man United are now well underway. Garnacho only wants Chelsea. Yes, we know. Personal terms are agreed and two clubs are negotiating for a fee. But what does that mean? What does that mean? Are we going to get an offer? Where's the offer? If we can get our 50 million for him, then we can make a big then we're ready to go on Baleba. This could be the domino we need. This could be it's new. Yeah, there's no YouTube link, so this is a new post. It doesn't really like say anything new, but we need an offer. Where's the offer? The thing I will say about this though, the thing I said that I mentioned this in the other video. The Chelsea and United have a good relationship, and there's a lot of knowledge between the executives. There's a lot of familiarity between at the executive level, and basically, I kind of suspected that like talks will be kind of quiet in between them, so maybe we don't hear offer. But I'd like to hear about an offer. I'd like to hear about an offer. I'd like to hear more about an offer. Like they kind of yap a little bit, but I'd like to hear about an offer on this. This would be all ex-City. Well, some ex-Chelsea too, for what it's worth. I mean, Vivell and a couple other people have also been at Chelsea. So, this is interesting. We just need it's kind of a recycle, but it's kind of not. Because we just not enough detail. Here's the thing that I would say about this. The news what he said here is recycled. But the news is like the reason he said it, there's probably a reason. There's probably a reason he said it. You know what I'm saying? Like even though he didn't report anything particularly new, there's very likely a reason he said it. And Fabrizio has very good contacts at Chelsea. So the question here is, can we get 40 to 50 million for him? Like I said before, I think we'll accept 40 plus add-ons. If they're talking about it's kind of funny though. Like this whole situation is so funny. Step up talks. Yeah, well, there was a report early in the week of that, but it does say club-to-club discussions are now well underway. So, yeah, I mean, but the thing is that we were just hearing like yesterday and today that like they only valued him at 30. Was that his article not literally an hour ago? That or 2 hours ago that it was 30 and 50? I don't know. They're going to have to pay more than that. Gonna have to pay that. If we get 50, I think we're getting this Baleba deal in. Like we're getting this Baleba offer in like tomorrow. But I'll tell you what as well, though. It doesn't have to be done. Like we're not gonna have to wait until the day that it's actually over in order for, for it to be done. If we've got a good offer on the table, then I think we will make a big deal. Today from Give Me Sport, that's what I thought. Fabrizio had an article today that said they valued him at 30. We value at 50. And yesterday, I'm not insulting Fabrizio, by the way. I'm just saying like things do change fairly quickly sometimes, but I do find this whole situation just hilariously amusing. Hold on a second. Let me just find this. This guy tweets a lot. I want to find this tweet. Where's the tweet? Did he delete it? Slowly waiting his move to Chelsea late in the window or whatever it was, right? Find it. Oh yeah, here it is. Dylan, thank you for the donation. This one. You don't find you don't find this funny? Dylan, type it again. I'll read it out to you. You don't find this funny, like he said happened later in the window, and then today we've stepped up talks. You know what I mean? And it's like it is it's just funny. There's comedy in this. I'm not actually making fun. I'm not making fun. It's funny. It's funny. I respect Fabrizio quite a lot actually. This is funny to me. But, it does go to show like things can change like really really fast in the market. You know what I mean? Like this morning Chelsea are like, "Nah, 30 million. We ain't paying more than 30 million." Nah. And then by the afternoon, they're like, "Okay, 40 million. 40 million. Come on. 40 million. We need it. 40 million and give it to us in cash so we can get Baleba in." That's what I would take. I'll take 40 if we get it in cash. I'll take 40 if we get it in cash. Because the cash would help us. It must be higher than 30. It must be higher than 30 because we spoke about 30 and we said no. We spoke about 30 and we said no. So it has to be higher. So if there's an update after that, then it must be higher. So let me see. What's the minimum? Let's do this, all right? And let's call this let's just pretend no add-ons for the simplicity. Okay? Sorry for the last option. I was just He did also say they wanted to sell Nkunku and Jackson first like 2 days ago. 40 million in cash. Let's assume cash. Let's assume just like cash up front, boom, in the bag. Remember how when you said the other day how we can tell we're progressing with Baleba if we see signs of players leaving? Well, isn't it now Højlund and Garnacho? Correct, Dylan. And that's why I was saying that we've been working on that. And that's why I was like, there's a lot of non-updates that are happening on a bunch of things. What we need to hear is Højlund and Garnacho progress, because Højlund and Garnacho progress is, in theory, what we need in order to progress on the Baleba thing, right? So that's, in theory, that is what we need to progress on the Baleba deal.
I heard today about 85 plus 15 bid this week for Baleba.
There's no bid that's been set up yet. There's no, just to be clear, I want to make this very certain. They haven't decided on a bid yet. Okay. But it could be very close to that range, but they haven't decided on the bid yet. But the point being was that obviously again, I've said before here, maybe they'll just do it anyway and spend a bunch of money anyway. But the line is, or at least the info is, they need to raise some funds in order to get a deal done. If in that case, it was specifically we wanted to see some progress on Højlund Garnacho to help move forward so that we could get to the Baleba deal, and that's what we were working on. Get things set with Baleba, try to start figuring out the price, get the money for Højlund and Garnacho, get some increased funds there. Oh, we should get a sell on too. Good point. Get some more money there, and then boom, then we can go on the Baleba deal. This is looking good. The fact that we're getting all of this today, this is a good sign. This is a good sign. Just a good sign. Oh. He's just replied. It's not info, guys. He's just made a reply with a thumbs up. Okay? Made a reply with a So this is good. This is progress. This is progress. The fact that we're getting progress on the sales is a good thing. The fact that we're getting progress on the sales is a good thing, because that's going to move us towards being able to do the Baleba deal and having more flexibility. If we get 40 million in cash from this,
any chance Greenwood is sold?
Doesn't seem like it. It seems like the price that Marseille are asking for, he's going to stay there. Marseille? Fuck, I got it. Marseille. But yeah, 40 million in cash. Okay, so the bid, you guys are between 40 and 50 for the most part. 40 million in cash and a sell on. I'm happy with that. Give it to us up front. 40 million in cash, sell on. Go and put 50 million up front for Baleba on a 90 plus 10 offer tomorrow. 50 million cash, the rest in installments. Let's do that tomorrow. Marseille. Yeah, okay, I got it right. Marseille. I've struggled with that. Then we could just put that money on them and see how that helps. That's good. Good. That's good. Hopefully we get a follow up on like an actual offer. What the price is. Oh man. Whole situation is too funny but this is good, because this is what we need. This is exactly what we've been talking about. This is what we need and needed in order to move towards this Baleba deal. This is what I've been saying since last week. When we see progress on the sales, then we will see progress on Baleba, and it looks like it's all happening in conjunction, like we're expecting. So this is good. This is good. This is good stuff. This is good stuff. Very, very happy about it. Everything's going according to plan. The right gif here for my feeling. Oh man. Cool. Well, I think that's a good way to kind of wrap things up for the day. So, keeper, word is we've got to still move somebody out very likely, but we're keeping those guys in mind. Baleba, we've been looking at raising more funds for mainly on the Højlund and Garnacho fronts. Looks like Garnacho is moving forward now. as of like a few minutes ago, it looks like this is finally happening, which is good. Thank God for that. And then that should help us with this approach to Brighton for Baleba. And yeah, I strongly believe, based on what I've heard, that we're going to be approaching with some kind of offer here soon. And so this sounds like this is going to help us. Well, it's not sounds like this is going to help us. This is definitely going to help us. Yeah. So yes, the movement of Garnacho to Chelsea should help us in our move for Baleba and an offer in, because I think it's going to have to be really significant in order to get done. Good news today on that front with Chelsea advancing. This could be the catalyst that makes it possible for Carlos Baleba to come into Manchester United and give us that 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10 window that we need. That'll do. Let's end it there. Let's see if this Garnacho deal gets done and we make this attempt here for Baleba. Well, we're going to, but let's see how that plays out, because I don't know yet. It's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed, but we'll see how it plays out in the next few days as well. But it all looks to be happening at the same time. Okay. Thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate you very much. Have a good rest of your evening. I'll be back tomorrow from here, from home as well. Should have my new microphone and new setup by the next time I go, so we'll see if it's much improved. Okay. Thank you all. I'll see you later.